Numark Total Control DJ mixer, whatever, I'm not sure what it is. Been given it by a friend to repair. It's running currently on Windows 10 with Virtual DJ. Seems to work okay. It's USB powered. The fault reported is the Q buttons are intermittent. So if I press, as you can, I don't know if you can hear that, it's just intermittently coming in and out. Let's try this one. That one seems to be working okay. So it seems to be the main problem on this channel. Depending where you hold the button, the cue's in. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is take it apart, have a look inside. I'm presuming there's just a micro switch underneath there, or it's a dry joint. It could be anything, but we'll get it apart anyway and we'll have a look. The back of the unit seems to be held on with 8 screws. Let's just get those off. Okay, let's see if we can lift the back off now. There's something else somewhere else. Oh, well, that's not coming apart. Just give me a minute. I'll see what we can find. Now we've got to take these end panels off. They just simply snap off. Same with this end. Okay, so that's just snapped out. And it looks like there's a couple of little screws just there, and one there, and there's one here as well. So I presume we've got to take those out. Alright, let's get these screws out. And there's one there. Three in total. Let's get these out. Anyway, you get the idea. I'll do this off camera. Okay, so we've got those out. As you say, three small screws, one there, and one at the other end here. Now that should allow us now to simply lift the back off. Oh, that's a heavy piece of plastic. Oh, that is heavy. It's got a big metal plate in it. That's quite well designed. Got a bit of screening in that. For those of you that are interested, that's what the insides look like. Looks like we're going to have to do a little more dismantling because the Q button is just there, and the same on this side, it's just there. I'm going to put the meter across here. I'll check for any dry joints, check the components around the area. If not, then we're going to have to take the whole board out and replace the switch. We'll start with the obvious. We'll give the contacts a quick wipe over. With a little bit of fresh solder, just to make sure it's not a dry joint. Okay, I hope you can see that. Let's get rid of that bit of solder there. We don't want that there, do we? Rather than plug it all back in, I decided just to solder 2 wires across the switch and connect my multimeter set to continuity, so we've got a slight tone on it. That's very strange readings. So 66 ohms. We get it to work at about 25 ohms. That doesn't seem right to me. I decided to test the other Q control. and that's reading about six ohms. If I wiggle it about a bit though, we can hear the tone changing. And it's going up to about 55 ohms. It's 25 ohms, 90 ohms. Yeah, I think both switches are faulty. What I'll do, I'll just test some of the other switches and just see what they come out to. I've tested all the switches, cue, pause and play, on both sides, and they all seem to be a little bit intermittent, to be honest. I thought I'd test them electrically rather than, because on the PC if you press it, it does work, it will acknowledge it works even though you may have pressed it harder or softer, but the multimeter will give a much better indication of the sensitivity of the switch and whether the continuity is there or not. And I think all six need replacing. They're probably the most used keys on this board. I will test some of the other ones, the other buttons, but they seem to be okay. But it looks like it's going to be a full dismantle. I think basically everything on this side's got to come off, so all of these are going to be pulled off. Those should be okay, I think. On the back there's the rotary wheel, and this is probably the encoder circuit for it. But I think everything on this side, all these outer screws are all going to come out, so we can lift the whole board off. Okay, I've taken the screws off the encoder board, and there's your octo pickups there. We might as well just get on and take the rest of it apart. Fortunately these buttons come off quite nice. Oh, they're a bit there, so I'm going to give them a clean anyway. Not sure about this last one. No, I think that one can stay on. I think we've got everything off that side. Let's spin it back over. That needs re-gluing back on. So I'll put that to one side. It should lift out now. Let's see. That's a bad design. Now there's a connector down here, which for some reason they're threaded under the bottom of this, so when I'm trying to lift the board it's not actually lifting because the way that's been threaded underneath the bottom of that just makes it very awkward to do. Okay, let's put that to one side. We'll carry on with the dismantle. Nearly there. Let's just take this off. That's to one side. Take that off. And let me just check the other side. Oh, that's why these won't come off. There's screws on this side to hold the controls on. So I'll take those out. Shouldn't have been in a better position for it to come apart. Okay, so left control, right control, and the bottom mixer. And hopefully this board should now lift out. Fill another screw. Keep finding more and more. And he's out. Okay, put that to one side. Now let's have a look what we've got. Oh, the switch housings, I thought they were singular, but they're not. They're all joined together, so they've got to be taken off as a group of 3. Fortunately, one of these parts was broken. I think there is some super glue signs on the edges of there, so I think somebody's tried to fix this before and broke the button off when trying to do it. So we'll get the others off. It's just a question of bending the tab in. Oh, now that one's come off as a single. And these, bend the tabs in. No, so these are actually joined. So bend them all in. And just give it a gentle tug while I'm doing it. And there's the switch. So you do need a little bit of care and attention when doing those. But this now gives us access to the actual push buttons, which are these. One, 2, 3, and the same on this side. 1, 2, 3. What we're going to do, we're going to replace all 3 of those on both sides. Okay, let's get these switches off. Soldering iron, desoldering pump. Got that one. Got that one. And the leg's a bit straighter. They've been folded over. And hopefully that should pull out now. There you go, it's pulled out. That's a switch, 2-leg device. Ah, we need 6 of those. Unfortunately, I got to a point where I didn't realise my battery had gone low on the camcorder. I've replaced all the switches, which are these. Cleaned up the contacts with isopropanol, tested them for the continuity, and they seem to work fine. I've reconnected the meter just to show you the difference. So if I press that now, instantaneous, 0.3 of an ohm. If I drop that across one of the older switches, let's try again. It's very intermittent. So it's not even working at all there when I'm pressing it. Oh no, it's come back on. I've pressed it really hard. So they are faulty. It's worth changing them. What I've also done, I've checked every other switch on the board with the meter for continuity and resistance, and all the rest seem fine, no problem at all with anything else. This main control board, there was a dry joint on the screening can on both of these lugs, which I've resoldered, but I've also resoldered the 4 pins as well, and also the jack socket. Basically anything that gets a bit of abuse from a socket pulling, it gets movement on it, so I've just tidied those contacts up. The sliders, but I will spray a bit of contact cleaner in them before I put them back in. Everything else seems to be working fine. As I say, the battery dropped out prior to me finishing putting all the switches in and dropping the back on. So what we'll do now is I'll put it all back together, and hopefully we can then show it working properly. Virtual DJ's loaded. Let's test these Q controls. Let's just test these Q controls and see what we get. Well, that seems to work really well. It's instantaneous now. Play's working. Stops working. Stops working. Q, Q. I'd say that was a success, to be honest. So I think we've got that working now. Seems to work fine. It actually all works in that. I ain't got a clue. I'm not really into this sort of thing, but I think that's a success. Put it back together now. I'll give it him back, and hopefully he can, well, I don't know, mix to his heart's content. Basic tools you're going to need: desoldering tool or some wick, pair of cutters, basic soldering irons with solder, and a couple of Phillips screwdrivers just to open it all up. Simple enough job, doesn't take long. Looks overly complicated, but it's not. Just got to remember where all the knobs go now. Anyway, I hope that helps if anybody's got the same sort of problems with these buttons at the bottom, and show you how to get to it anyway.